So I've been working on building a chicken coop here in my shop. I've got a window from my old coop here that I tore down the old coop because the floor was rotten, because the way the slope of the roof was, there really wasn't an overhang, and so the water got in under the window, rotted out all around the window, and then I didn't do a very good job of sealing the window when I built the old chicken coop. I've remedied that with this one, put flashing and sealant, make sure that it's good and sealed up, and then most importantly, I made the roof a bit oversized. I got this design from a episode on YouTube of This Old House. They built a chicken coop for somebody and kind of did something similar. It's a 4x4 coop on posts. If you look on YouTube, you can find their video. But what I decided to do is add quite a lot of extra roofing, kind of extending out on all sides. That way, when the water does come off, I mean, it's got a nice overhang here. Built a big door so I can swing this open and clean out the coop. And this is the start on a sliding door that's going to go down on that end. And then here are my nest boxes. These in the corners are kind of narrow, but I'm just going to wait and see, do the chickens use this? If not, I can come in and trim this board out here. I think that would give them enough room, but we'll see. They may like that kind of tight quarters, because once they get inside, this is about 12 inches or so, and I think standard size is 12 by 12. But yeah, that's what it's looking like. Here's the way the roof kind of looks like up there. I just kind of did my own thing with the roof. I've never done like a pitched roof like this before, so I thought a lot about just doing some kind of lean-to or whatever, but this is what I ended up with, and I actually kind of like it. And then I just got an old handle. I've still got a lot of work to do here. I've got to put some latches on the outside, put some trim on, but that's the way that'll work. And I decided to put the nest box here on the outside. In that This Old House video, they put the nest box inside, and made it look a lot cleaner, but then it kind of reduced the amount of room that they had inside. And I was thinking, in my old chicken coop, I had the nest box inside as well, and the way I designed it, it was a flat top, and so the chickens would just sit up there and poop all on top of the nest box. So I definitely wanted to prevent that. And in This Old House video, it looked like they had the nest boxes going all the way up to the roof to prevent that. And they probably had 2 layers of nest boxes there as well. But I wanted to give them more room, so I wanted the nest boxes on the outside and then keep it flat so there's nothing for the chickens to stand on. And then I raised the nest box up about the width of a board plus this floor, just to, any muck that's down here won't get into the nest box. Here's the window. I also raised it up the width of a board. You can see my flashing here, and it raises and lowers, so that'll be part of my ventilation. I think between that and the door, and then I'll probably put something with some chicken wire or whatever there in the corner. I don't know if I'll need much more. Oh, this is where it's at before I paint the trim. I've gone a little crazy with the caulking, but I'm just trying to keep out moisture where it don't belong. So I've got a vent up there at the top, and I've got a little door that slides open, so that if it gets really cold in the winter like it actually is today, I can close up the coop. The window turned out a little different than I had imagined, but that way I can raise the window from the inside, and that gives them ventilation. And then this little trim out here around it just kind of makes it, not look so funky with that hardwood cloth there. Around the front, I started working on painting, and you can see where I had some support boards to support the door. Oh, I was kind of trying to figure out what I was doing, but inside I did some more caulking around the perimeter just to keep because this wood here, I mean, that'll just absorb and rot if you don't keep the moisture away from it. But you can see how the sliding door works. I've got a little setup. I'm not quite sure how that rope, if that rope's going to get in the way of the chickens. If it's a problem, I can rearrange it, but what I've got here is just a little hook, and I will paint the floor. I've seen some people do like linoleum or whatever. I just don't want to spend the money for linoleum, so I'm going to paint the floor with the same exterior paint that I used here. And so once I've got all the trim painted, then I'll put my handles on. Here's how the nest box trimmed out, and I'll paint this and it'll look better than it does now, but that's kind of where it's at. Taped off my handle. This is a really old rusty handle. I like the way it looks, and I didn't want to get paint all over it, so taped it up. That's what it looks like inside. So next will be finishing up the paint, the trim. I'm going to touch up the exterior where I've really gone crazy with the caulking. Again, just trying to keep moisture out. This is some more of that particle wood, and if it gets wet, it just doesn't last long. So I'm trying to seal up all the edges as best I can. Update on the chicken coop project. It's been a couple weeks since I set it in place. From the last video, you can see I've added the metal roof, and that's just some scrap metal that I had in the back, and those are some panels that I had here for this chicken run that I kind of put together. It's a small run, but it allows them to come outside, and you know, they still have some shade to get underneath. This little door here that I can open up if I need to get in there and clean. I was thinking about keeping their food and water up under here. And then here's their nest box, and the metal turned out pretty good. The drip line for the roof is, you know, like right here, so this little gap back there will be fine. Here's that rusty handle that I said that I liked. I like how that looks. There's the ladder that I put together, and going into the door there. And if I want to let them out, I can either let them out in the front there, or this comes open. You can see I put the chicken wire about 2 feet out, so if a predator or something tries to get in there, they won't be able to. On today is just securing the top of the chicken wire on this, because these are like, I don't know what this is, maybe 4-inch squares. I was afraid something might try to crawl up here and maybe come in through there, so I'm trying to secure this chicken wire on the top. And then for this back panel piece, I just had another piece of scrap. I don't even know what that was for, but it was in the back and I used it. So that's going to be their run. And next I'm going to put some hardware cloth here, because I'm not happy with how, I don't know, it doesn't seem very secure. I've heard other people talk about how hardware cloth is a better option, so I'm going to come in and layer over top of that with hardware cloth just to make sure it's extra secure. But that's what it looks like. I've got to come back and touch up on some of the paint. Got a couple scratches in it here and there when I moved it in place. We've had a couple of rainstorms. Let's see what it looks like inside. Dry as a bone. I covered up the nest boxes to keep the chicks out of there. And I don't know if the last video I had painted this, but that's what this looks like. And I've got some boards here. I'm going to put some roosts across the top, but I'm not ready for that. The chicks got a ways to go before they ever get to that point, so that's what it'll look like for them to head on into their run. I was afraid the way I built it with that big overhang, it might act as a sail. So those are 4-foot T-posts that I pounded into the ground and then bent them over so that I could secure them with those screws. So I got 2 screws, and it's like that on every leg. And with that, it should help keep it from trying to lift off when we get a big gust of wind. Final update, I got the hardware cloth on those bottom 3 sides. So I'm happy with that. I think if some critter tries to come in and push on that now, but it's between that and the chicken wire, it'll probably definitely slow them down. I don't know if there's any critters that are small enough to get through these chain link. I know a raccoon probably can't, but I don't know what else we have around here that would be a danger to the chickens. If I have to, I can come back in with another thing of chicken wire and secure it up. But the problem is with this door, if I want to keep this door functional, it's always going to have this gap. So that's why I didn't worry too much about that. But this top level here, where I have the 4-inch squares, I got it good and secure, and I threaded the wire kind of in and out along the edge all the way around, so that if something tries to come in and pry up, there's no way for it to get in. And I just finished touching up the paint. I used the tractor, and I have a 2-prong hay spear, and I put it up underneath the coop and just lifted it up and set it into place. So where I used that spear, there were some scratches in the paint here, so I just touched that up. So the next step is to wait for the chicken eggs that I currently have in the incubator, waiting to hatch. I think they've got about a week left. Once those hatch, I'm going to bring them inside a brooder that I have set up in my workshop. Since my shop is insulated, it'll help maintain the temperature that those little baby chicks require. Once they start getting feathers, I'll bring them out here and let them have access to the coop in the run. I won't let them have access to the nesting boxes for a good time longer. And then during that time, we'll see if my door opening is going to be a problem. If it is, then I can just go all the way across the entire thing with chicken wire and use that door that I built on the very front over there in front of the coop. Use that as my entrance and exit for the chickens. But that's the chicken coop that I built in December, and here it is February, and I'm all set and ready to put some chickens in it.